Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today I have my hair up in a bun because we're talking about productivity and specifically how to be productive without going crazy or feeling overwhelmed. It can be really difficult sometimes to strike the perfect balance between productivity and getting things done and not going crazy or really just spreading ourselves too thin. So I think it's really important that we begin to strike that balance of learning what healthy productivity looks like. So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. I've got 7 amazing tips for you that have really transformed my personal productivity, and I'm excited to dive right into them. But if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button below. And a big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is an all-in-one platform that can help you build a beautiful online presence and run your business. Let's get started now though with the first productivity tip, and that's to find one system and stick to it. Whether you're trying to organize your schedule, your notes, your day, there are 1,000,001 different options and ideas that people put forth that can help you to be more organized and to get more done. And while a lot of them have some very helpful nuggets and concepts tucked away inside of them, what happens when we try to do all of them at once or even just multiple at once is that oftentimes we end up more disorganized than if we were to just find one method that works for us and stuck to it. So this one is really a general principle of productivity that can be applied to so many areas of your life, but whether it's your schedule, note-taking, email organization, or anything else, try to find a single system that works for you and stick to it. Moving on, tip number 2 is to plan your ideal week. And I'm a big believer that so much of our productivity really boils down to the planning that we put in place ahead of time to make sure that we have something to stay accountable to. And I'm a huge believer that planning is really the secret to productivity that doesn't feel overwhelming. And so a great way to kind of leverage this is to, at the beginning of the week, look at the tasks, responsibilities, deadlines, and anything else that you have coming up in the upcoming week, and just try to plan out what would your ideal week look like. What would you accomplish? When would you do it? In what kind of time frame? Try to answer those questions and kind of map out exactly what your week might look like. Then, as you begin each day of the week, you can tweak and adjust things accordingly, because obviously our ideal week never really quite happens the way we plan it. But by putting some time to really kind of mapping it out ahead of time, you really can do a lot towards making it a lot closer to your ideal week than if you were going into the week without a plan. Not only will you find it easier to get things done, but you'll also feel a lot less stress because you have a vision and a plan for exactly what you're trying to accomplish when. Number 3 is a huge one, and that is to focus on the most impactful and important tasks first. When it comes to planning out my day, I like to apply the Pareto principle. It's also known as the 80-20 rule, and it's essentially the idea that 20% of our efforts delivers 80% of the results. So try thinking about maybe your workday and how this might be able to apply to your situation. Is there one specific project or task you do each day that really makes a difference? If so, try allocating more of your time towards that. And the same thing goes for any tasks you have at home. Just ask yourself, where are my efforts the most needed and where are they going to have the biggest impact? And then just allocate your time accordingly. I like to spend some time at the beginning of each day just identifying what are the 1 to 3 tasks that are the most important ones for me to accomplish that day. What are the ones that are going to have the greatest impact? I'll go ahead and star those and make sure that I'm putting emphasis on getting those done first so that I can make sure that I'm spending my time most effectively and ensure that I'm actually doing deep work and spending time on things that are actually going to make a difference, not just fluff work. All right, well, I'm excited to dive into all the other tips that I have for you, but before we do, a quick word from today's sponsor, Squarespace. And Squarespace is an incredible all-in-one platform that can help you build a beautiful online presence. I've been using Squarespace for years with different nonprofits that I volunteer with, and recently I started a little side business doing photography, and when I needed a website for that business, I went straight to Squarespace. And what I love the most about Squarespace is that it really is easy to use. You don't need to have this extensive coding knowledge to be able to design a website on there. They make it simple for you with tons of gorgeous templates to choose between, powerful blogging tools, as well as e-commerce tools and analytics as as well. So if you're in need of a website, head on over to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Ashlynne Eaton to save 10% off of your first purchase of a website or domain. Let's move on now though to number 4, and that is to set goals for yourself. And when it comes to the idea of productivity versus procrastination, I can often lean more on the procrastination side of things, and I'm guessing that you might as well. But like we've been talking about already, planning really can help us prevent procrastination and instead not only give us a vision of where we're trying to go, but also accountability. So we're not keeping the things that we want to accomplish in our heads, but we're instead concretely writing them down or telling someone so that we kind of have something that we can look back at and see, did I hit this or didn't I? And I think we can often get caught up into thinking that our goals need to be specifically centered around our work, but that really couldn't be further from the truth. I love setting goals around habit creation, finances, kind of my personal and spiritual life, exercise, and so many others. So you can really get creative with this, but if there's something that you're wanting to accomplish, maybe it's productivity related or just life related, setting goals can be a great way of helping you get on track and stay on track as well. Okay, next, number 5 is absolutely key to what we're talking about with healthy productivity, and that's to take breaks. Now, it might sound counterintuitive that breaks can actually increase our productivity, but in recent years, study after study has actually shown that our brains work best and most efficiently in sprints, not in marathons. When we work for long periods of times without ever resting or taking breaks, our minds and our focus and our attention just gradually wear out over time, meaning that we're getting less done despite the fact that we're constantly working. And I think one of the easiest ways of being able to really clearly see the impact of this is just to try thinking back to when you were in school and studying. After a while of studying, your eyes begin to glaze over, your mind begins to wander, and it seems like you can do pretty much anything but focus on the words on the page that you're actually trying to study. And as dramatic of an example as that might be, the same kind of thing actually happens when we're working for long periods of time without breaking. So if you're wanting to be productive without going crazy or experiencing that kind of burnout that you feel from working without rest, what I'd instead try doing is working in intervals. And one popular way of doing this is the 50-10 rule, where essentially you're working with laser focus, undistracted for 50 minutes, and then taking a 10-minute break. And then you can repeat that cycle as needed. What studies have shown is that when we're working in this kind of rhythm of work followed by rest, followed by work, followed by rest, is that we're actually able to get more done in less time, as well as stay more engaged with the work that we're doing. Next, number 6 is to batch your work. And we've already touched on the idea of focus as being essential to productivity, but specifically when we're talking about focus, we want to be making sure that we're engaging in intent and extended focus. And this is where the idea of batching work comes into play. When we're always starting and stopping, opening and closing, what we're doing is creating bits of friction. Because our focus is divided, we're never actually able to intently focus on one thing at a time, which means that we're never actually going to be able to accomplish as much because we're not giving anything our full focus. Instead though, by batching like tasks together, like responding to all emails at once, or starting and finishing a project in one sitting, we're able to devote all of our attention and efforts to one place, which is going to result in deep work, which means that we're going to be able to really engage on a deeper level, as well as generally increase our focus and productivity. And last but certainly not least is to limit your screen time. And our phones are powerful devices that can be used to accomplish a lot of good, but at the same time, they can often become productivity killers, particularly when we're using them during times when we want to be getting stuff done. And if you might be thinking right now, oh, I don't think I spend that much time on my phone, I would highly recommend that you just head on over to the screen time section on your phone, and you might be honestly shocked by how much time you actually spend on your phone each day. Regardless of exactly how much time you're spending on your phone each day, though, they can still serve to distract us if we're constantly going to check a text or a message that we received. Those are small little things that that can break our focus and again hamper our ability to be productive. So especially if you're trying to engage in deep work or you're in the midst of one of your work intervals, it can be a really helpful idea to try putting your phone in a different room, putting it on airplane mode, or at the very least putting it on do not disturb. We might not think of our phones as being massive distractions, but those small little moments where our phones kind of capture our attention really do add up over time, and they can hugely impact our productivity in the long run. All right, well, those are my 7 big tips on how to be more productive without going crazy. And I hope they gave you some ideas or inspiration on how to engage in healthy productivity so that you can get things done, but do it in a way that's manageable, doable, and realistic for you so that you're not going crazy or stretching yourself too thin. I hope you guys enjoyed this one though, and if you did and you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button below for more simple and intentional living videos coming at you twice a week. Also, make sure you're following me on Instagram. I'm at ashlynne.eaton on there for more daily inspiration and updates. Also, I know several of you guys have been asking for me recently to share my bullet journal, how I organize it, and things like that. So make sure you're following me on Instagram because I'm actually going to be creating an IGTV where I walk you through exactly how I set it up and things like that. All right, guys, well, that is everything I have for you today. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.